Hi, I'm Sari Sudhakran. Welcome to this new series based on popular demand on film lighting theory. I'll break down the lighting of an iconic scene, in this case, the thrilling opening scene of Halloween. I want to stress though that this video is about lighting theory and some practical suggestions and guesses based on my experiences and opinions. It does not contain information on actual fixtures or cameras or behind the scenes or whatever, since those remain under copyright. If this is not your thing, please stop watching. For the rest, I hope you like it and find value in it. Please let me know in the comments below on how you feel about this series. In this opening scene from Halloween, directed by John Carpenter, with cinematography by Dean Cundey, we are introduced to the backstory of Mike Myers. The scene seems like one single take, but there are a couple of hidden cuts, I think. It plays out as a point of view shot. We start from behind the tree and see the house. Let's stop here to appreciate the lighting. Halloween was made on a very low budget, and even so, cinematographer Dean Cundey shows great knowledge of layering multiple color temperatures, as you see here. You have one large hard source coming from the right. It's easy to pick because you can look at the shadows. It's probably an HMI light, though I could be wrong because HMI lights were still a new thing back in 1978. It could also be a tungsten light gelled with CTB. Halloween was shot in film. They probably use a tungsten stock to make it appear bluer. If I adjust the color temperature slider to make the door whiter, you can see how it affects the image. If I try to make the upper story white, you can see how it affects the lower half. So the single source is falling everywhere, but the front is lit by a second tungsten source. There's a jack-o'-lantern on the right with a bright source inside, so we don't miss it. It's pretty bright in the shot. It would have been very obvious on a large screen in a movie theater. And then, of course, there's light in the top right window. So in just this first frame, we already have so much information about the story and the setting. That's what a great cinematographer does. On a low budget, you have to make one light do multiple jobs, especially on a long take like this. We see an example of this as we come close, and we can see the fixture inside backlighting the actors. This is called a practical. It's a chandelier, and it's probably got a brighter bulb than you would have otherwise because you had to expose for the film stock. Then we move on to the side, and we have another source hitting the side of the house. These patterns on the side are created with branches placed off camera as far away from the light as possible. That's how you get hard shadows. But you can also see there are hard and some soft leaves, so there must be some layering in terms of depth going on there. What do I mean by layering? When we look into the room, you can see how it works. The foreground is blue, then warm, which is a source from below, probably a baby or 2K, not very sure. The shadows are a dead giveaway. The spill is controlled though, because after that you can see right by the door the light is blue. That's a third layer. It's another light coming from the ceiling. And finally the hall, which is warm as well. It's lit by the chandelier, though it could have been augmented by another light on the left. So you can see how both director and cinematographer use warmth to give us a false sense of hope. They're making out in warm light instead of being in shadow. So at this point, we as the audience don't know what we're about to see. As we go around the back of the house, we have another light hitting the back, and then the kitchen lights are switched on. Again, you have layering. You have warm kitchen lights giving us a false sense of relief until the knife comes out, and then we understand what's going to happen. As we exit the kitchen, you can see the layering. There's blue in the dining area. All the lights are on top because the camera needs to move through the house, and we see most of the house, so we can't have any stands or shadows in the shot. As we reach the hall, the boyfriend comes down. That was really quick. Must have been a record in Haddonfield. You can see how the blue bleeds through the front door, and it's interesting how cinematographer Dean Cundey let it be instead of trying to block it out. As the boyfriend opens the door, he is lit by the blue light coming from the outside. Then the killer goes upstairs and we have blue again, though there is no logical reason why it has to be. It could have been warm and it would have still looked okay. But as we've seen, the layering is intentional. So he turns and we see a hot spot on the floor. It's a source of light that makes this section of the house blue, and you can clearly see the barn doors if you look closely. And then finally, we enter the bedroom. There are two light sources wrapped in frost or something similar, which is why you don't get hot spots. The two lights together give you a softer look than you would have got with just one light. In addition to that, you have a mirror. These two lights reflect back into the room, so it kind of makes it like 4 lights in total. So you get some bounce off of the mirror as well, and it makes the entire effect a lot more softer than you would have thought. And I believe there's another light on the ceiling lighting the rest of the room and the bed, but it's designed to look like it's coming from the fixtures on the table. These fixtures are also practicals. As we exit, you can see how the practicals in the hall and the front of the house play their parts. The main light for the house is now a backlight for the car and everybody else. This is a separate shot from what we saw earlier, so the lights might have been moved for a better aesthetic effect. That's pretty much it. This is what painting with light is all about. You can do this even on a low budget if the production gives you enough time and money. Nowadays, with high ISO cameras, you don't need large fixtures, but you need the same number to get the effects that you see in this film. You don't get these effects by not using any lights. They don't happen by themselves. Let me know in the comments what you think. For cinematographer Dean Cundey, please hit like. For director John Carpenter, please subscribe. And for Haddonfield's 2 world record holders, hit the bell you'll see on the right so you don't miss any new videos. Bye now.